In the foreseeable future, scientists develop a new device known as the timer, which is implanted into individuals' wrists and counts down the time until they encounter their soulmate. For the timer to activate, both individuals in a potential couple must possess the device. Once activated, the timer emits a beeping sound when the destined couple finally meets. The device quickly gains widespread popularity, with a large portion of society adopting it. However, there are still many who reject the idea. In Los Angeles, Oona owns a timer that has yet to begin counting down, indicating that her soulmate does not possess one. After a brief period of dating her recent boyfriend, she persuades him to also acquire a timer and accompanies him to the clinic. Oona is well known at the clinic, as she brings all her boyfriends there to confirm their compatibility before continuing the relationship. Upon getting the timer, it immediately activates for her boyfriend, revealing that he has 2 years left to meet his soulmate. Despite Oona's own timer remaining inactive, she decides to end the relationship with her boyfriend, who is thrilled about the prospect of meeting his soulmate soon after finishing college. Meanwhile, Oona's stepsister Steph continues to engage in numerous one-night stands with random men, whose timers are expected to expire soon. One day, Oona is at a grocery store where the cashier, Mikey, tries to flirt with her. Oona feels flattered, but upon seeing Mikey's timer indicating he already has a soulmate, she knows he isn't her match. Mikey notices Oona's timer as well and suggests they could still have a fling since they have a long wait ahead for their respective soulmates. However, Oona declines his offer. The next day, Oona is surprised when she discovers that her latest patient is Mikey, who found her because she's the only dentist with that surname. Mikey, eager to pursue a relationship with her, reveals that he's a musician in a band, not just a cashier. He shares his belief that while the timer shows the endgame, life is full of detours. However, Oona remains uninterested, feeling that getting involved with Mikey would be akin to cheating on his future soulmate. In the evening, Oona goes on a blind date, but the guy turns out to be incredibly dull, only speaking when prompted. She cuts the date short and heads to the club where her stepsister Steph works as a bartender. To her surprise, Mikey's band is performing there, and watching him on stage sparks something within Oona. They exchange intense looks, and after the gig, Oona goes to Mikey's home to finally be intimate. The following day, Steph, working as a receptionist, flirts with a handsome man named Dan, but loses interest upon noticing he doesn't have a timer. At home, Steph learns about Oona's fling and congratulates her, but warns against meeting Mikey again, sensing it won't end well. Later on, Oona's parents are excited because it's the day Jesse's timer reaches 0, indicating he should meet his soulmate. However, Jesse spends the day at school without any significant event. When he returns home, the cleaning lady introduces them to her husband and daughter, Soledad, whose timer also reaches 0, indicating they are soulmates. While Jess's parents are thrilled and eager to plan things, the cleaning lady feels uncomfortable and quickly leaves with her family. In the evening, as Oona is leaving her office, she's startled from behind and accidentally hits her attacker. It turns out to be Mikey who startles Oona, insisting he wants to spend more time with her. Reluctantly, Oona agrees to take him to her house, and they have another wonderful night together. Unable to deny her growing fondness for Mikey, Oona starts to enjoy spending time with him outside the bedroom. She even forms a friendship with Mikey's roommates, finding them more enjoyable than expected. One day, Oona confides in Mikey that her father is a music producer, but she hasn't seen him since her parents' divorce. Mikey realizes Oona's connection to the music industry and comments that it makes their connection even more significant. Meanwhile, Steph's boss reprimands her for not answering the phone, but Dan arrives and covers for her with a fabricated story. After her boss leaves, Dan expresses interest in Steph, who doesn't reciprocate, but believes he might be a good match for Oona. Steph invites Dan to visit her at the bar that evening, also inviting Oona, noting she hasn't been out much lately. Oona feels guilty but doesn't disclose her relationship with Mikey, fearing Steph's judgment. That night, Oona chooses to spend time with Mikey, leaving Dan to chat with Steph. They headed off, sharing personal stories including Dan's belief that his deceased wife was his soulmate, leading him to disregard the timer. When Steph returns home, she discovers Mikey in Oona's room and realizes they've been secretly dating. An argument ensues about Mikey's timer and the impending arrival of his soulmate. Mikey interrupts and admits his timer is fake, merely a sticker he used to avoid mockery or the trend. He confesses he doesn't believe in the effectiveness of timers. Shocked and hurt by the lie, Oona asks Mikey to leave. As days pass, Oona finds herself unable to shake thoughts of Mikey. She realizes that being with him allowed her to be her authentic self and enjoy their dates without concerns about legitimacy of the future. Eventually, she decides to reach out to him, and they talk things through, deciding to start dating again. When Thanksgiving rolls around, Oona decides to bring Mikey as her date, joining her family and Elle's family, who bring dishes from their homeland in hopes of bringing both families together. Despite lingering awkwardness, Mikey's ability to speak Spanish helps bridge the gap, acting as a translator between the two groups. Oona's parents have many questions for Mikey, but Oona answers them herself, worried that anything Mikey says might be judged. Meanwhile, Dan and Steph begin meeting in secret and start a casual relationship. At one point, Mikey tells Oona he loves her, causing her to panic and run away. Seeking advice, Oona decides to visit her biological father, Rick, with Steph for support. Initially awkward, Oona diffuses the tension by sharing Mikey's music with Rick. When she questions why he never got a timer, Rick reveals he does have one, contradicting Oona's mother's claim that they divorced because Rick refused to get a timer. Rick explains he'd rather enjoy life and genuine emotions before meeting his soulmate. As they prepare to leave, they discover Rick's much younger girlfriend had her timer removed because her love for Rick felt more real than any timer prediction. Inspired by this, Oona and Steph rush to the clinic to remove their timers, choosing to live more spontaneously. Despite warnings that the device can't be replanted once removed, Steph goes through with it immediately, feeling relieved. However, when Oona's turn comes to remove her timer, she hesitates, and at that moment, her timer starts beeping, indicating her soulmate has finally obtained his own. With only 5 hours left until their meeting, Oona decides to keep her timer, claiming it's out of curiosity. This decision angers Steph, who feels betrayed. Later, the sisters celebrate their shared birthday at their parents' home. As their parents mingle, Jesse approaches Soledad and reveals he's learned some Spanish for her. The teens finally bond on their own terms. Mikey is also invited and works as a translator between Elle and Oona's mother. They decide to keep their relationship as boss and employee and let the teens work things out privately. Meanwhile, Steph enjoys spending time with Dan, who was also invited. When Oona bumps into Dan at the party, their timers go off, indicating they are soulmates. Steph becomes upset and rushes to the kitchen, while Mikey leaves the party upset. Dan tries to comfort Steph, but is interrupted by Oona. Another argument ensues, with Steph feeling like she's losing the best thing that happened to her. Oona reassures Steph that she's her best friend and nothing in her life is worth losing her, not even her soulmate. Oona leaves, and Dan tells Steph he only got the timer for her because he likes her. The next day, Oona visits Mikey and reveals she got her timer removed because she wants to be with him. Mikey is touched but turns her down, sensing she isn't in love with him and he's just a safe option. Devastated, Oona leaves and visits Steph. After a heartfelt talk, the sisters reconcile. Sometime later, Oona goes for a run and bumps into Dan. They have an awkward conversation, realizing they have some things in common, but it's too late now. They part ways and the movie ends. Check out our other recaps popping up on your screen right now.